Brian Lauer. I'm not one of the smart guys in the room. I'm just a megaphone. I tell people what the smart people are saying, so I spend a lot of time on campuses. And the way I keep score is with Gallup poll. You can go into Gallup poll, creation versus evolution, and you'll see creationists are on top. You know, for the last 46 years, you won't believe this, but the majority of Americans believe that God made man in his present form less than 10,000 years ago. That's on the top. It's like 40%. Okay, and at the bottom it's atheistic evolution, and then in the middle is theistic evolution. But what motivates me is the last 12 years we've lost 9%, and the atheists have gained 9%. And if that continues in the next 10 or 12 years, the blind chancers will be on top. And so we have to reach we have to inspire curiosity in science. And the students, you know, they know what to think, but they really don't know how. And so if you just see one model, you just memorize. You need to see two models if you want to think. And I think they don't allow it in the government schools, but I think we could do that with in our flood models. There's two models out there. There's the catastrophic plate tectonics, and then there's the hydroplate model. And I think that we should put them both up in the museums, let people see the strengths and weaknesses of each one. And I think that would be helpful too, is if we could have a discussion. Here's some strong points, here's some weak points, and then science can advance. And then I think, again, the most popular exhibit in any museum would be the theories, with the predictions underneath them. And then people can see, you know, it's this one on the right track. These are the confirmed ones, these are the current ones. And then I think that, you know, I think there'd be an excitement. More of an excitement, because kids would be thinking critically. You know, a lot of our government schools, they just drum that curiosity out of people. This is what you need to think. Yep. And I think we could set the example and say, no, there's two models. You pick, you know, you look at it and come to your own conclusion. You know, when I talk to students about that, they really enjoy it. And the hydroplate model, it just came off the presses. It's the 9th edition. And what I like about this book, at the end of every chapter, you've got these decision tables. You got all the theories on top, all the features on the side, and then it's red, yellow, green. And this is for Grand Canyon. They got 9 theories. None of them work, you know, and except for the hydroplate. It's green all the way down. And so I encourage people to look at that, and then you can go through and see, you know, and then you can read about each one. And Bob Enyart wanted to make this interactive, so you could add to it in real time. You know, people could say, oh, maybe here's another feature. And so he does this with comets and asteroids, and I think this theory will destroy the Big Bang. You know, if you're in the astronomy thing right now, Pastor Kevin Lee, he's got orbital physics, and he's showing how the Big Bang can't explain how these contact binaries or these asteroids with moons, they just can't explain it. And he's talking to a secular astronomer at a college, and he says, you know, if there was an atmosphere around it, it would work. And she said, yeah, you're right. And the hydroplate theory would explain that. And so I'm just here to, you know, this is a theory that makes accurate predictions. It's been validated by NASA discoveries, and you can see it for free. Go into creationscience.com, and you can see this thing, an online flip book. And you can go into page 447 to page 449, and it's got all the confirmed predictions, the accurate predictions, and the ones, what they expect. And so then you can kind of keep track on that, and it's free. You know, this thing on Amazon, it's like $90. The 8th edition, when this came out, the 8th edition was $180. It was a $30 book, but it kept its value over time. Because I think he's onto something with this. And again, I'm just here, you know, I came down here, it's like, hey, why is a theory that makes accurate predictions, why is it being ignored? I've yet to find a good answer for that. But I think that it could be, let's just discuss it. You know, let's bring it into the mainstream, let's talk about it. If there's things wrong with it, yeah, let it, you know, go into here. You can see it for free. Creationscience.com. Look at the footnotes. There's over 1,000 citations to secular journals. And you can see if he's interpreting it right. And then we can adjust it where it's wrong, and we can, you know, work at the other theories. And then you can come to your, you know, I think science can advance. I've got some, if you're interested in it, if you've never heard of it before, you want to take 15 minutes and get up to speed, you go into, I've got a YouTube channel called Solidify Your Faith. I've got a playlist just for the hydroplate. You'll see a 2-minute animation, an 8-minute explanation of it by Dr. Walt Brown, who got his PhD from MIT. You'll see him explain it, and then you'll see a 2-minute video of how NASA is validating it. And so then you can go on from there. And some good websites are Brian Nichol on YouTube. He's, if you want your PhD in it, go in it. It's very detailed, very, very analytical. He animates it a lot, and then also go to rsr.org, growscienceradio.org, and listen to Walt Brown Week. That's what colored in the details for me. You know, what connected my dots was Ken Hovind's Age of the Earth. It's like, oh, evolution's based on lies, fossils are a sign of a flood. That connected the dots. And then I listened to Walt Brown Week on Growth Science Radio, that colored in the details. It's like, oh, that's how there's frozen mammoths. That's the mid-oceanic ridge. That's the plateaus. That's why the near side of the moon is pounded, not the far side. You know, that's counterintuitive because the Earth protects the near side. But if the stuff's shooting up from the fountains of the Great Deep and hitting it, and some of the stuff escaped from the fountains of the Great Deep, that it went into orbit and became comets, asteroids, and trans-Neptune objects. And so that what they're finding on those comets and asteroids is stuff from the Earth. And that's what Walt Brown predicted. That's what Kevin Lee stood face to face with the NASA scientists saying, hey, the Stardust mission, you're going to find stuff from the Earth. He says, no, we're going to find stuff from the North Cloud. And Pastor Kevin Lee was right. And it's over and over again. He emailed the same professor. He said, if you ever try to redirect an asteroid, it'll work if it's a solid rock, which is what they all thought. He said, but it'll fail if it's basically a floating rock pile. And guess what it turned out to be? A floating rock pile. See, this theory is making accurate predictions, and it's solving things outside of its field, and that's the sign of a good theory. And I think the other thing I think that would be a good, to help